To be right, you gotta make yourself right. What do I mean? The way I make myself right is the way I write myself, and vice versa. It's all in the language. I developed me a great style and very elaborate writing, if I do say so myself. This elaborate technique, though admirable, is very specialized, meaning I can only write in my native language, and even within that, it's the neighborhood I've grown up in, the people I grew up around, and even within that, it's my particular way of thinking and seeing the world. This is who I am becoming. Therefore, as I read more from other sources, I learn also what works in other styles and languages. I learn that it's okay to write in other ways, the other ways in which others have written for the sake of self-expression. It's like putting more specialized tools in the workshop of the mind, beyond the ninja rigging duct tape and clothes hangers. Though there's a lot to be said for duct tape and clothes hangers, especially when that's all the brother got to start with, you feel me? The more words I acquire, though, the more I can understand the language in which the other is written, and also read for myself on deeper levels, write for myself on higher levels, and vice versa. It's all in the language, yo. They say reading is fundamental, then writing is something else. Which comes first? When you think about it, reading cannot be fundamental without writing, and one cannot write until he also learns to read. So we came together at the same time, in my opinion, like the chicken and the egg, the word and the man. Note, the word itself is the embodiment of information. It represents a readable expression of instructions from everything from poetry to blueprints, from a nursery rhyme to the elaborate instructions for building a house, a tree, a man. So that when God said, "Let there be light," those words made it happen. The instructions. Even years later, when science is able to read the patterns of light photons and waves and particles and plot the human genome, that's an example of the word that God had in mind being written in reality. Rewind. Chapter 1. Write your own script. When an actor takes his role seriously, there are limited roles that he will actually accept. That is because he could never see himself immersing himself in the character and vice versa. During the first half, and I argue the better half in this aspect, of Denzel Washington's career, for example, he refused to play the villain because it was not who he was, and also not a stereotype that he was willing to perpetuate amongst his people. If it were only a movie, then why the seriousness? Because it's never only a movie, and that's the point. Any more than a fast food burger is ever only a burger. It's part of you the moment you take it in. Question: who writes your script? Is it you? Think before you speak. Others have been writing our scripts for all of our lives. It starts with the cultural script, the national script, the racial and identity script, etc. Who are we? Some scripts are fundamentally self-evident and agree with nature, i.e., I am a man. Therefore, I must only accept roles that are written for men. But let's say the part I play is a black man in the United States, born post-baby boomer. What kind of range do I have within that book? Well, I could dare write my own scripts, or easily pick from the ones that are already written. We literally try out for roles in the world's mundane matrix. We are cast for roles in a play where others make the decisions. When I try out to be a football player, others decide. When I want to be an actor, others decide if I fit the role. If I want to be a writer, well, you get what I mean. We go for jobs and other opportunities, social and otherwise, reading a script in hopes that we will get the part. The thing about Hollywood, though, is that it's littered with casting couches. How much of yourself are you willing to give away in order to get the part? And at the end of the day, it's only a part. Literally. You can never be whole by playing a part. The ones who get chosen for the roles, for the parts, may become the objects of our envy, though that role be one that was crafted with Hollywood, a Pinocchio that dances in pursuit of a Grammy, of becoming a real boy in that world of illusion. The trickeries of language and spelling. Just as casting is called casting, spelling is called spelling. Both are literally part and parcel of casting spells. Note, mages do magic and witches cast spells. In English, we piece strange symbols and annotations together from an alphabet and call it spelling. How could such arrangements amount to spelling, which is a function of magic and illusion? Well, the devil is in the details, as usual. Think about the spelling in the previously mentioned role of a black man, black community, United States. In this role, we find plenty of spells being casted in the script. Follow me and let's see a few examples. He's a bad motherfucker. Like Shaft. Literally bad and presumably an adulterer, as he is a motherfucker. Double meaning, he's excellent. He does it well. He's to be admired. That's my dog. He my dog. Literally an animal. One that according to experience may eat his own vomit or feces. Hump a bit wantonly. Join in with pack mentality. Is meant to be submissive in creation to any humanoid on earth. Double meaning, he is a very close friend. He is like a brother to me. I am a black man. Literally, I am the color of tar, of the unlit midnight, of those worn leather shoes in the closet. Metaphorically, I am void of light. I am evil incarnate. I am consistently associated with funerals, death, and suffering, etc. Double meaning, I am a man of brown hue, existing on a spectrum between very light to very dark brown. I share certain cultural characteristics, especially with those of the American Negro ilk. Example given, I am black and proud. Imagine if the Hebrews of old had identified as black as a whole instead of a particular nation. They would have been lumped in with the other pagans with black skin, such as the Hamites and even the Egyptians who enslaved them. The using of words that are insults to the character while posing as positives literally invoke a measure of schizophrenia, forcing the user and the hearer to agree on imagined meanings other than what's literally said. Cultural conjectures that are literally the opposite of what the words are actually calling for. This means that on some level we hear the insult reinforced while pretending a positive meaning in everyday life. This is literally spellbinding. Imagine telling your child he's crazy. He's crazy every day. Boy, you crazy, you tell him. You both pretend it is a lighthearted compliment until someone from another planet comes and asks you, why do you call your son crazy every day? You explain that it's harmless and mock the outsider because they don't get it. That is until you go to that stranger's house and you hear that she calls her son stupid every day. Boy, you so stupid, she says. And you don't agree because you see the child struggling to do better in school. Why not just call him witty or smart or dare we say intelligent if what we mean to do is to compliment? It's part of the spell. It's part of the confusion. Hence, spelling. Think about it. Boy, you a fool. You know what I mean. That's just how we talk to each other. The evidence speaks for itself. No pun intended. If you call me the N-word, but an outsider cannot, because they're not part of the family, then that means the insult is reserved only for those that are part of the group. Those that deserve to insult me and to be insulted by me. Because if the word were black or intelligent or original man or something like that, then members of the entire world should be welcome to say it. Why? Because the word itself does not have a double meaning. Think about it, fool. Imagine myself and a friend. We call each other stupid all day. Man, you stupid. Boy, you a fool. Negro, you crazy. And so on. Then a Karen walks up and says, "Hey, you stupid Negro fools, what's going on?"
Cut.
Suddenly we are insulted, and for good reason. But what has changed? Not the words we've been using to describe ourselves the entire time. It is the fact that Karen has called us the exact thing we've used to define ourselves. In a sense, she snapped us out of the spell momentarily, shocking us out of the context in which the spell has to be perpetuated, and allowing us to hear the words more blatantly from an outsider and less romantically amongst ourselves. And speaking of casting spells, casting for roles and casting couches are part of the vetting process for those that will ascend in their little play. This is the way of Hollywood. Hollywood is actually the wood that comes from the holly tree. It is a historical favorite wood of witchcrafting and spelling. The following reference is from an article entitled "The Roots of Hollywood, the Hollywood" by K. Ross. Quote, "Hidden in plain sight, the name Hollywood evokes images of glittering stars, red carpets, and the dream factory of the modern world. Yet beneath this glamorous facade lies an ancient and mystical origin. The word Hollywood is derived from the holly tree, a sacred symbol revered by ancient druids, witches, and wizards." Fast forwarding. Hollywood was a preferred material for crafting wands, tools of enchantment and transformation. While the ancient druids used their holly wands to cast protectives and transformative spells, the spell casting in today's Hollywood is of a different nature. The entertainment industry, with its pervasive influence, shapes minds and cultures in ways that parallel the magical practices of old. Through subliminal messaging, symbolic imagery, and narrative control, Hollywood has become a modern-day cauldron of enchantment. Consider the term casting, as in casting a role or a spell. Both involve shaping reality, one through storytelling, the other through intention. Many believe that Hollywood's influence operates on a deeper, often unseen level, akin to the magical practices of the past. From the manipulation of collective consciousness to the subtle encoding of Luciferian and occult symbols, the parallels are striking. In this light, the name Hollywood feels less coincidental and more like an intentional nod to the arcane. Close quotes. Shout out to Birth of a Nation, that groundbreaking cinema masterpiece that formed the base of modern-day Hollywood, simultaneously casting the descendants of slaves as wanton beasts in the minds of the world, and that at a pivotal point when those descendants would have found their own humanity up from slavery. The Birth of a Nation as a movie was the warped mirror of America, ushering in the lynching era in reality and seeding the immediate rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan. Rewind. Write your own script. And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Yeshua HaMashiach. 2 Timothy 3:15. And so, we literally have a greater script writ from since before we were born. one that we don't have to go through the world's casting systems in order to play our role. This is the Most High embedded code within the Word of Life itself. In the beginning was the Word, so that any language they use to cast spells or typecast us, we may escape and overrule it through Christ. Chapter 2, Garbage In, Garbage Out. We know that in terms of the internet that AI systems and bots have virtually taken over, feeding delusions online in the form of fake imagery, false information, and bots posing as humans. This process makes AI increasingly delusional because each subsequent AI learns from the same delusional internet that it then feeds more false information and bots into. It will take human engineers and fact checkers to manually correct the false information online, or that false information online will continually change the rank and file human, causing us to think differently. Like a tug of war between the organic and the fake mind, a battle for the consciousness. The following is from an article from Live Science Today. It's entitled, AI Hallucinations Work Both Ways, Study Shows. Using chatbots can amplify and reinforce our own delusions. Here I quote, "There are numerous examples of artificial intelligence AI systems hallucinating and the effects of these incidents, but a new study highlights the potential dangers of the reverse, humans hallucinating with AI because it tends to affirm our delusions. The user experience of generative AI is a conversational relationship with the back and forth exchanges between a user and the tool building on previous exchanges. According to the study, the sycophantic nature of generative AI, which tends to agree with the user, encourages further engagement and, therefore, compounds preconceived notions, regardless of their accuracy." End quotes. This process is like looking into a warped mirror, and instead of walking away, twist my lips in agreement as I search for more of myself in the depths of the thing. Continuing from the article. There can also be a feeling of social validation in the interactions between a generative AI tool and the user, Oser explained in the paper. Discussions with real people can help to challenge false narratives, but generative AI tools are different because they are more likely to accept and agree with what has been said. End quotes. This means that at their sincerest, human beings are the more organic and sincere mirrors of who we truly are before the AI invasion. AI is literally cannibalizing itself. As of 2025 study, 51% of internet content is bots and automated programs, with quote-unquote bad bots reaching 37% of all internet content. This overblown artificiality becomes a training ground for the AI programs moving forward. And since the nature of AI is to hallucinate, then the subsequent generations of AI will become increasingly more delusional and confused. This is what happens to AI the more it is detached from organic human consciousness. The same thing that happens to us when we detach from organic divine consciousness of God. For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. Acts 17:28. AI is cannibalizing itself and taking us along with it. As false consciousness invade virtual spaces, the organic humans begin to consume that counterfeit material, and like genetically modified food from a laboratory, it attacks and corrupts our God-given bodies and minds, causing us to become increasingly artificial due to the modified programming. If your phone, for example, doesn't receive genuine updates from the engineers, then it will have to run on outdated and degraded programming, whatever it has downloaded, which will eventually become functionally obsolete, or even worse, rely on alternate and subpar programming from hackers. We are like that, like God's iPhones walking around. Shout out to Kanye West. But we must stay connected to receive constant updates from the Most High. The way AI tends to work and train is an echo chamber, by contrast, coves of information that is recycled, regurgitated, and fed to the next generation that in turn does the same thing. It is, as AI does, a closed system that is prone to hallucinations and degradation. This is what happens in specialized training facilities like universities, places that teach that everything came from nothing and that nothing can make everything and the people roll with it. The alleged elite are the erudites who are obviously under spells of hallucination. This is like the example of the device being disconnected from the manufacturer or engineer. On the other hand, we as God's iPhones are in constant connection, receiving the up-to-date signals and downloads. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. James 1:5. True wisdom comes from the source of all truth, descends from above. Secular wisdom is the opposite. It's perpetuated of lower states, earth-ridden, like the Nephilim. That being said, as a predictive language model, AI can only gather and perpetuate pre-existing knowledge from the sources it is provided. People provide that information, whether those people are servants of the Most High Ahaya, or whether they be of the lowest of the low Hasatan, aka Satan. The Most High is a source in the way that rain waters fall and enrich the earth. We work to collect that free-falling water and build fountains to perpetuate it, drawing from our own deepening wells so as to let it flow through us into the organic ecosystems. AI is like that intruder that comes to siphon from those waters of life, tainting the waters either intentionally or as a consequence of passing through their own plastic interpretations. The bottling and monetizing of what is essentially an abundant and free resource. Since their own wells are dry or stagnant with contamination, they must constantly siphon from the fresh source. Like a vampire who doesn't have the physiology or the soul to produce its own blood, so he has to be a constant leech against humanity. A vampire is animated and unalive even as you talk to him. He is merely an illusion of the living consciousness, an illusion of having empathy for others unlike himself. Like AI, he can only mimic and model the expressions of true humanity, as it has been trained to do. This is exemplary in that the more well-rounded and robust man I become, as in increasing my vocabulary, the more I can fully present and represent my Father Haya Ahaya. Increasing learning is like increasing colors on the palette to make a painting, words in the dictionary to write your novel. Therefore, in writing ourselves, we must always increase our vocabulary. It's called self-expression. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy 2:15. Along that path to righteousness and self-discovery, any writer worth his salt will tell you that the characters with the most depth take on a will of their own, an attitude that is at odds at times even with the author himself. In this sense, we are always coming to know ourselves on deeper levels, even as we are written. Christ, being the author and finisher of our faith, puts the ultimate period at the end of the story. Looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Hebrews 12:2. The world script has influence over you only to the extent that you walk in that fairy tale, that you walk in that fear, that you agree to play the part that has been scripted for you. You have to buy into it for it to even matter in the grand scheme of things. Who gives a damn what John Wick says to someone before deleting them over a parking spot? Well, you do. If your immediate response is, John Wick wouldn't delete someone over a parking spot. He deleted them because they killed his puppy. And that's the point. Neither scenario is real. True that one of the scenes was scripted for the Hollywood movie, but too many of us, like children, confuse the two, seeing more of John Wick in ourselves or Dexter in ourselves, or any other imaginative conjuring of Hollywood. To play devil's advocate, literally, one could say that Hollywood provides us a deeper insight into life, in the sense that art imitates life and vice versa. But the problem is that these mirrors that are erected to reflect life are too often warped, generationally warped and perverted projections of the writer's perceptions. The actors and the artists themselves become just puppets, essentially, wielding those tools of propaganda, crafting those warped images of us to an extent that we come to imitate the art ourselves. Like casting black men as criminal, clownish, lazy, jailbirds on the down low, the ultimate NWAs, and we eat it up. Question: what image did the warped mirror show you of yourself? Hint: it's easiest to see when you think back to your younger years. Further back, when you saw things more sincerely as a child can. Sometimes we actually grow into the role that the world has cast for us, forgetting along the way that is only a role, leaving behind who we really were before the loss of our innocence. Think about it before you speak on it.